We've talked about this before, the fact that just now that everybody's famous, back in the old timey days, when Bill Hickok died, that was a big deal.
Right.
But we weren't talking about the many, many other people who died in saloon bar fights or poker games or whatever. Mm-hmm. And now that everybody's famous, everybody's, a tragedy. Everybody's lost. Right. Somebody dies. A light has gone out in the world. So anyway, what was my point? Why do I need one? So I guess I want to announce that Ricky Jay has died, who I was very depressed to hear.
Who is Ricky Jay?
Because Ricky Jay is a performer and a magician, and you have seen him in the show Deadwood.
Oh, okay.
I think in the first season, he was one of Saul's guys at the Bella Union.
Okay.
Or Saul? Not Saul. Cy.
Okay.
And he was a sleight of hand artist, an actor. He's did a lot of Mammoth work, and he was just real. Hadn't seen him in a while. I'm sorry, everyone. I did that thing where I killed him because I hadn't seen him on screen for a while. I can't remember the fate of his character in Deadwood. Doesn't matter now.
Right.
I thought, maybe he could be in the Deadwood movie. Plus, I haven't seen him in a while. What's up with him?
Right.
Dead. So.
When did he die?
Yesterday.
Yesterday?
Or yesterday night.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was in Boogie Nights.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. So anyway,
that's too bad.
Yeah, it is too bad. And I always enjoyed him. He was not. I don't think he was much of an actor, but it's hard to tell because when you're in a Mammoth gig, it's so just read the script, just straightforward. So I'm not sure if that was his style or if it just the fact that he wasn't super expressive made him perfect for
that
Mammoth. Either way, he was fun to watch on screen, and he also did, those crazy card tricks. And didn't he team up with the Mythbusters to see if you could really cut somebody's throat with a playing card like Bullseye or whatever?
Oh, okay, probably.
And he actually they use that ballistic gel that's supposed to mimic human flesh.
Yes.
He actually managed to sink a couple cards into the gel.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Technically, yes, you could. He could blow a candle out, with a playing card. And,
right.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
It's too bad.
Yeah.
And you know what's really too bad?
What's really too bad?
Everybody's going to forget that was the day that he died, and they're going to remember instead that it was the day that Nick Roeg died.
Right.
Which we'll have to talk about too, I guess, on the show today.
Well, yes, for sure.
Of course, world famous, lauded director of movies like Man Who Fell to Earth, and Performance, and Don't Look Now, things that are classics. And if you're a British person, you're like, they make us watch those.
Right.
They peel our eyes open to watch that other movie by our countrymen.
Right.
Clockwork Orange, and then also have to watch these as well. So, long story short, we thought we were covering The Favorite today.
Yes, we did.
The new film from Yorgos Lanthimos, which is out, but is a staggered release up to the end of the year. And so it won't be out in our area until the week after next.
Yes.
Which that's when we'll cover it.
Yes.
So we thought, we already knew that we were going to try to talk about another filmmaker, a unique filmmaker. And it just kind of turned out that as we were kind of casting around for things to do, we got the news about Nicolas Roeg. So that's what we'll be talking about today.
Exactly.
And it works out pretty good.
Yeah.
Because he made some pretty good films.
He did.
And we'll talk about those.
Yeah.
So, taking it easy, a little Audible today.
Yes.
But not brought to you by Audible.
No,
screw Audible. Until they are paying their bills for us, or paying our bills.
Oh, yeah, right.
Get your books on tape somewhere else.
Right.
Where do you even go?
I don't know.
Yeah, Audible's pretty much got it.
Yeah, I think that they do too.
Somebody.com is crying.
Right.
Into their audiobook, and it's sparking and shorting out right now. How's it going?
It's going good, Cal. How's it going for you?
Oh, you know how it's going.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm run down.
Yeah.
Kind of losing my voice.
Oh, no.
A little bit. But that's fine. We only got about 1 million more shows to record. So
no.
Sure it'll be okay.
Well,
is it lemon and honey and tea and
yes,
and all the ice cream and everything else?
Yes, and ice cream.
Gotta give that a shot.
Okay. Well, hopefully you won't lose your voice on the show today. So
hopefully.
Yeah.
let's get right to it, talk about a little bit of news, and then we'll talk about some films by Nicolas Roeg.
Sounds good.
There really isn't really much news at all. I wanted to mention, I can't remember if we mentioned this last week, but Ike Perlmutter, who is just a garbage person, as far as anybody seems to know. He's the chairman of Marvel Entertainment.
Yeah.
What that even means in this day and age, I don't know. Like, he's basically just like, the CEO of Marvel,
right?
Basically, insofar as it's, and you think that he'd just be, Disney brings Marvel in,
right?
And Kevin Feige is the head producer for Marvel films,
right?
So Perlmutter is technically the comic guy, but not really though. That's Joe Quesada. He's like the chief creative officer or whatever, or he was. I don't know what's going on at Marvel right now, but anyway. Just let him go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I guess you can't fire him, but he's got a golden parachute.
Yeah.
He's so problematic.
Yeah.
Just let him go.
I know.
Well, anyway, that option might get exercised soon because
Okay.
he has been named in a bribery trial in New York.
Oh,
in New
I
York
heard
City,
about this.
over like a gun permit in exchange for movie tickets.
Yeah, which is weird.
Like he wanted to get a gun or something like that, and so a license.
Uh-huh.
And so he contacted a higher up and basically like offered them like tickets, like movie premiere tickets for Marvel films,
Which is so shady. And it's like, what are you doing? What are the ways that you could get guns not fast enough for you? Like,
yeah, I don't even know.
Why do you need this?
I don't know the details about why the normal channels couldn't have been followed.
Right.
But yeah.
It's so bizarre.
Yeah, I don't know. So who knows? That was a small little thing. I saw that blurb last week in Gizmodo, or somebody picked up off of it, and it was the New York Daily News or something, which is kind of tabloidy. So.
Sure.
And I haven't really heard anything else.
Yeah.
So
right.
Who knows? But let's get this guy out of there. Come on.
Yeah.
What else? It looks like Sony might have some release dates for its Morbius film. Remember Morbius?
I remember talking about it.
Morbius, the living vampire?
Yes.
He lives.
Yes.
But he's a vampire.
Right.
I don't know what that means.
Isn't it, who's playing him? Jake Gyllenhaal? Is that right?
No,
No?
I don't think so.
No. Do we know who's playing him yet?
Who is playing him?
I don't know.
Is he black?
I don't know.
I thought he was black.
I have no idea about the
Why
character.
is this happening at all?
That is
Who
also
cares?
a good question.
Anyway, so Fox, what this proves is that Fox is still going forward. They're acting like nothing's happened. You know what I mean? Like they haven't been acquired.
Right.
It's not, I think things got slowed down a little bit, but we're still going to push this out.
Okay.
Jared Leto.
Oh, okay. That's right.
Which, now I double down on why. Why is this happening at all?
Yeah.
Who cares?
I know.
Sorry. I mean, cool character, good comic stories, but yeah, why is this?
Because we have to make a movie out of everybody in the comics these days.
Well, according to Variety, Sony has set aside some dates in 2020. July 10th, 2020 is a non-sequel, which is presumably the Morbius movie.
Okay.
And October 2nd, 2020 will be a sequel, which will be Venom 2.
Okay.
2.
Sure. Venom. Yeah. All right. Okay. That all makes sense.
Yes. None of that is set in stone. These are all just the best assumptions that people have.
Okay.
And your reaction is?
Okay.
Wow.
I mean, Venom was an okay movie. They definitely left room for there to be a sequel. I don't know.
Yes, because there's 4 more of them.
Yeah.
Or something.
Right.
So
I don't know
weird.
how excited I am.
It's not a great film.
No. I don't know how excited I am. And then, of course, Stan Lee, having passed, will not have a cameo in the next one.
Well, right.
But
although
he has filmed, they did film quite a few cameos.
Yeah, thank
with him,
God.
like before he passed. So
thank God.
Yeah.
Did I kill Stan Lee?
No, you did not. You most definitely did not.
But I was throwing around that idea about how Thanos should kill Stan Lee.
Yeah, I know.
That's how they get him out.
Yeah.
Because at some point he has to stop. now he literally has stopped.
Well, exactly.
But yeah, they just get to a point where okay, I'm not going to say it again. But
no, I don't think you killed Stanley.
Okay,
I'm gonna absolve you of that. So
great. A little bit of non-news. This is pretty much something that we all kind of knew, but if you follow Star Trek and you're looking at some of the new projects that Star Trek is doing, and you can follow them on our show, Enterprising Individuals. So I did there.
Yep.
At enterprisingindividuals.com. But a quick note that Midnight's Edge talked to Nicholas Meyer about the show that he's supposedly working on.
Okay, sure.
Which is supposed to be connected to Star Trek
Wrath
of Khan, which he directed.
Right.
And the show is called SETI Alpha 5, and he was originally commissioned to write a 3-hour event or 3-night event. Okay. So it's just a long, whatever they call that. Not a miniseries necessarily,
no, not a
but
miniseries.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And it's because of the upheavals that have happened at CBS. It is not. It's in limbo.
Oh boy.
So we don't know.
Well, that's not cool. I don't like that it's in
he's
limbo.
relatively young. He'll be around for a while, so I'm sure he'll always be hot to do it. But
yeah.
I should note that Midnight's Edge is garbage.
Oh, really?
And they can come right at me for that.
Okay.
All they do is it's all rumor mill and mongering. I mean, this is from the man's mouth himself.
Okay, sure.
But yeah, Midnight's Edge does nothing but just stir up the pot. So
okay, gossip and whatnot. All right. Well, I really hope that they come, they get that squared away soon, because it would be cool to have a Wrath of Khan sequel, or I don't even know what you would call it these days, but it would be cool to see a continuation of that story. So,
yeah, I just don't know what you can do in 3 hours.
I don't know what you can do in 3 hours either, but it might as well be just like a long movie at that point. So yeah, I don't know.
And whenever, as Star Wars fans learned, whenever they go to the well to try to fill out some of these universes or tell more stories, they invariably end up invalidating the book canon, which people spend money on, love, are connected to.
Right, exactly.
They make figures and video games about characters that never appeared on screen, and that's all gone, And for Star Wars, there's so much of it, I guess there's nothing you could do. But for Star Trek, there's also a lot of it, but there's some good stuff, not really a friend, but acquaintance, author Greg Cox, wrote like an entire trilogy about the rise and fall of Khan, Noonien Singh.
Okay,
and it's got some amazing stuff in there. Now, it would be way too much to
do for 3 hours.
Yeah, do for a 3-hour TV event. Right. But if you tried to follow the guideline, who knows? So anyway, if I was Greg Cox, I'd be like, I'd sure love to get paid.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen, though? Seems like it's probably not.
Well, I hope they figure it out soon.
Yeah, me too. One more thing. Marvel Studios has released an official timeline for the MCU.
Right.
So we've always had to sort of extrapolate dates for when certain movies take place. And that became a controversy when somebody in, what was it? Yeah, superheroes, 8 years ago they were doing the thing or whatever, and he's talking about 8 years ago was when Iron Man came out, or I can't remember what it is, or when they attacked New York, or it said 8 years later or whatever. And so that meant, wait a minute, does Spider-Man Homecoming take place in 2020?
Right. And
it just doesn't work, because that would put it past the snap. And so basically they've put this timeline out to go, forget it, we're wrong. Sorry.
Okay.
Highlights from it are basically that Captain America, they have moved some stuff around, though. Captain America, of course, takes place over the course of 1945.
Yeah.
Iron Man takes place in 2010.
When did it come out?
The movie came out in 2008.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Remember, 10 years.
Okay.
10 years of Marvel movies.
Okay,
So they moved that up. Then, of course, Iron Man 2, that is, Incredible Hulk and Thor, all take place in 1 week in 2011.
Wow. 1 week.
2012 is The Avengers, Iron Man 3. I'm just reading the whole thing, it sounds like.
Sure.
So 2014, of course, was a pretty big year. Winter Soldier, Guardians, both 1 and 2 happened in 2014. Of course, the year everybody wants to forget, Avengers Age of Ultron happens in 2015.
Sure.
And Ant-Man. Sorry, Ant-Man.
Yep.
Civil War and Homecoming in 2016.
Okay.
Doctor Strange takes place over the course of 2016 to 2017.
Okay.
And 2017, another big year. Black Panther, Thor Ragnarok, and Infinity War all happen.
Okay. I mean, that's...
So T'Challa, and I guess that we would assume this anyway, but T'Challa literally, buries
his
Kilgrave.
Dad.
And his dad.
Kilgrave, yeah.
And ding dong, hey, can we crash here?
Yeah.
So, weird.
Okay. Oh, was it Kilgrave or Killmonger?
Killmonger. Shut up.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Kill Death Guy. Kill Man.
Oh.
Somebody get an angle grinder.
Yeah, I know, right?
Smooth this guy out. How familiar were you with the films of Nicolas Roeg before this
not
show?
super familiar.
How familiar are you with the pronunciation of his name?
Not very familiar either.
I'm going with Roeg.
I think Roeg works.
Yeah.
Roeg. Right. I saw The Man Who Fell to Earth. We did a David Bowie special. I think
A little while ago.
Yeah. That was
Speaking of 2015.
after he passed, wasn't it? Or was it before he passed? I can't remember now.
I can't remember either.
Yeah.
It must have been before.
Okay.
Because we didn't do it last year. And
No.
he died at the end of 2016. So
No, didn't he die the beginning of 2016? Like the very beginning?
you look it up.
Okay.
Don't really look it up.
Okay.
That is dead air. Does not
All right.
matter.
All right.
The answer is it does not matter.
All right.
So not that familiar then.
No.
Although
not
you
that
certainly
familiar.
saw an eccentric one.
Yeah, I did.
Although looking at his filmography,
They're all
how do you
kind
pick
of
the eccentric one?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they all kind of are statement films, and they all say something unique. I think. I think he was a very prolific director, but also he had a very distinct outlook, and I think he, showcased that with his films, and I feel like he wanted to push the envelope, continuously, and I feel like he was continuously challenging himself with the films that he directed.
Roeg, perhaps.
Oh,
yeah. He never seemed to. He was always. You're right. Yeah, he never. I don't think he ever just coasted, or just sleptwalk through one.
No, I don't think so.
He was always pushing it to try to say something specific.
I guess I should say.
Oh, go ahead.
I did see the film The Witches when I was a kid too.
Yeah, The Witches. Yeah,
yeah, and that scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, and he's always about using the techniques of film to help tell the story, not just make things look good.
Right.
And that started all the way back with David Lean when he worked for him on Lawrence of Arabia.
Yes.
Which it's one of those things that I was flabbergasted to find out, but then was like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. And he was on Dr. Zhivago, too, and got fired off of Dr. Zhivago.
Yes.
But we know how he met Julia Christie now.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and so just kind of went from there and then ended up in directing. And Performance was his first film. Yeah. Which we'll talk about, which he did, of course, along with Donald Cammell, who is... We're going to talk about him, too. It's an interesting guy, for sure. So, yeah, I thought that we would talk about Performance, and then after talking about Performance, we'd talk about Don't Look Now.
Sounds good.
The two films that are on whatever the British version of AFI or whatever is on their top 100 films.
I can't remember what they called it, but yeah.
And so many people have cited him as...
influences.
Inspiring them. Even people that it's like, he inspired you because your stuff sucks. You know what I mean? I don't know what inspiration you got out of it.
Wow.
But yeah. Your stuff's not good.
That's not good.
But we'll talk about, like I said, Don't Look Now. I haven't seen Walkabout. I want to see Walkabout.
Yeah, I would like to see that too. It sounded interesting.
Yeah.
The description.
Of course, Jenny Agutter's in it, yeah. The girl from Logan's Run.
Oh, okay.
And from the Winter Soldier.
Oh, sure.
So, performance.
Yes, the movie performance.
What do we got? What a great start!
Wow,
what a great start!
Well, it's about
So, unlike Nicholas, we definitely coast and half-ass this stuff.
Oh, stop
and
it.
Here we go.
It's about a basically a group of gangsters in Britain, and one of them is named Chaz, and played by James Fox.
Yes,
and he is the main character.
Yes.
He's the protagonist.
Doing great.
And he particularly loves his job, in which he is really cruel and often violent towards people who owe his boss money.
He's a bagman.
Yeah. So he really enjoys that up until the point where his boss, whose first name is Harry.
Harry Flowers.
Yeah, Harry Flowers. What a great name for a gangster.
We'll talk about it.
It was like, okay, we're gonna attack this guy who owes us money, but I don't want you involved because you're gonna take it way too personally because you have some bad blood between you two.
Yeah.
So he ignores what Harry Flowers says and goes and collects the guy.
But it's not like he beats the guy up or anything.
He doesn't.
He just kind of.
But he still ignored orders.
Yeah.
And then the guy, I can't remember his first name. His last name is like Maddox or something like that.
It was Joey or whatever?
Yes, Joey Maddox. Him and some of his goons come to Chaz's flat and just wreck the place. They pour red paint all over everything and they just rip it to shreds. And they rip his clothes off and start whipping him with a whip.
We'll talk about that.
And
talk about all this.
So then he shoots Joey.
Yes. Okay, good. We got to an action.
Yeah.
This has been maybe 3 paragraphs from you, and it's not what anybody would think of as being the main body of the film.
I know.
You haven't even mentioned the most famous person who's in this movie.
Well, Mick Jagger is in it.
Oh, wait. You blew it.
I know. So he's trying to get away from these people, and he overhears a musician at a cafe talking about how he
might as
owes
well
money.
have just turned a radio to the Plot Point channel.
I know.
Yeah.
He overhears a musician talking to his mom, I think.
I did like the fact that it was clearly like a Jimi Hendrix type dude. A black guy. And then he's like, hey, Mom. And his mom's like this little old white British lady.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, your guitar, whatever.
And he said, yeah, I owe my landlord money, but I'm going to send it to them. I'm going to wire it to them or whatever from the road. It'll be fine. And so he just pretends to be the musician's friend.
Right.
And said that, yeah, he said I could take over his flat. Here's the money up front.
Right. And he paints his hair with house paint.
Yes, which is so bizarre.
Yeah.
David Bowie had really red hair in The Man Who Fell to Earth too, but he didn't paint it with paint. So
yeah, well, and James Fox is a real. If he wanted to stunt double for David Bowie, I think that would work out just fine.
Yeah, that would probably work out just fine.
He's got a real Bowie-ish look. It's funny because, and I wasn't really familiar with him, but I guess that he prior to this had played a lot of upper crust. Sort of fancy lad type British actors, and one of the reasons that he took the role was that he was wanted to toughen up his image.
Yeah.
And Kamel really thought that, oh yeah, we can do that. We can make this guy real punk, real sadist.
Sure.
He likes to smack a lady.
Yep.
While he's having sex with her.
Yep.
But she's fine with that, I guess. I don't want kink shame.
Yeah, she was totally fine with it.
Yeah.
So he basically goes and hides out at this flat, and Mick Jagger is the landlord, and he has there's 2 ladies who live with him, and they have a menage a trois sort of thing going on. And it's very free love, hippie-ish, bohemian. And they he feed Chaz some hallucinogenic mushrooms for him to
whoops,
chill out and stuff like that. Yeah, and then it's interesting how he kind of morphs, he kind of becomes more like them as the movie goes on.
Yeah.
But then a friend of his has kind of sold him out, and Harry Flowers and the gang locate him at the flat, and they're going to pick him up.
Well, you're gonna just go through the whole thing.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess we have to. I mean, spoilers are definitely involved here.
And he goes upstairs because he has to get the shampoo for the French woman who's taking a bath in the basement.
Yeah, of course he does.
And he shoots Mick Jagger in the head. And
we've all been there.
So the other lady, the blonde lady, she kind of hides, and Mick Jagger is she puts him in a closet with some picture frames.
Yeah.
In the basement.
Yep.
And as he's wearing this Chaz is wearing this ridiculous wig and smoking jacket as he's going to the car, and then you are the one who pointed this out to me, but it's actually Mick Jagger, like you see in the last. And so is it saying that it's really Mick Jagger, or is it saying he's transformed and he's kind of a different person now? What is it saying? You don't know?
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
There's a lot of background to this. First of all, can you believe that this was supposed to be a Hard Day's Night for the Rolling Stones?
Yeah, that's what what Warner Brothers thought it was going to be.
That's how Kamel sold it to the studio. We're going to do this
not at all
fun thing.
It was.
Yeah, because it was 64, 65, and Hard Day's Night had just, exploded onto the scene.
Yep.
It'd been real good for Richard Lester, and so he was like, oh, we'll do that. And probably honestly meant it, and then it evolved eventually into this completely different idea.
Yeah.
And it draws in a lot of ways. And actually, it doesn't just draw. It's right at the time. Because, Get Carter was 72 or 73. But it's very much in the theme of the sort of 70s British gangster film.
Sure.
Where you've got characters like Harry Flowers and Chaz and stuff like that, and Bagmen. And there's a famous Michael Caine movie called Get Carter where plays Jack Carter, and he's a mob enforcer who has to go back home up north, which he doesn't want to do because he's a Londoner now,
right?
And deal with a thing, and so it's that very oh, you think you're odd, and birds and get the dosh and
right,
right. Does any of this? It doesn't make sense to me. It's very much in that sort of vein for the first act, let's say,
yes,
and then it's no, forget about that. It's
right.
Play the sitar,
yeah,
beaded curtains, and beaded curtains and kaleidoscope films and stuff like that. But what's so great about the visuals, which were Nicolas Roeg, is that it doesn't. It's never that cheap because there's something that immediately comes to mind when you think of it's my happening and it freaks me out, baby, situation on film like I just described.
Right.
And he never is that. I mean, he might use some of those things, but it's never that cheap. He's always trying to push it farther and do stuff. And you get that same thing. It's a co-production. And I think Kamel was primarily the script.
Yes.
And Roeg was the visual look. And it makes a lot of sense, and I wonder how it influenced him going forward. What drugs he took or whatever to make movies like Don't Look Now and the rest of his catalog, because you see in Don't Look Now he uses a lot of the exact same kind of things, and Don't Look Now was adapted from a book or a short story that had nothing to do with mirrors or water or all those things that mark his films. He developed all that and then just continued using that as a language, at least in the 70s. I think that works really well. Yeah, and it's kind of we've talked about who's influenced or been influenced by him before, and I didn't read this specifically, but it wouldn't surprise me to find out that Guy Ritchie was influenced by him. Yeah. Because Guy Ritchie sort of writes these neo sort of British crime things, in the post Get Carter age. Right. And he himself has a very distinct visual style as well. So, would not surprise me at all.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he really...
Geezas.
Yeah, I think he really wanted to make, the bohemian feel, authentic. Yeah. I don't think he wanted to cheapen it or, have it feel, surreal or anything like that. Yeah. Guy accidentally takes hallucinogenic mushroom. That could actually happen. And, what is his experience? And,
Yeah, and the way to make it feel real, pubes.
Oh, gosh.
All up and down the board. Both this movie and, I mean, it was the 70s,
I know.
but both this movie and Don't Look Now. And I'm trying to think about his other films, but he's never afraid to, get to the naked truth. Well, not just sex, though, but just also having nakedness as
that's true.
A thing, a state.
There's a lot of bathing in this
of
film.
Emotion. There's a lot of bathing in this one. That is true. So last week was the second grossest bath since Gummo. This is the third grossest bath since Gummo. So I've got my Photoshop all ready for the show art this week. But yeah, baths that don't look clean.
Yeah.
And then I guess we're just going to get right into it. And Don't Look Now, Julie Christie's in the bath, and there's nothing else. Like, she's just sitting in like a half empty, or half full if you're an optimist, tub with no soap or suds or anything like that. She's just sort of sitting in a clawfoot tub in clear water, and it's like, are you enjoying the bath?
I know, right?
Looks cold, looks uninviting.
Right.
I don't know if that was the point, but we'll save it though. I got a lot to say about Don't Look Now. Yeah. So, other than that, it's anybody's guess.
I know.
It's weird.
Performance is weird.
Turner is a musician who is patterned after himself. He's basically Mick Jagger. Yeah. And he has lost his demon. Right. Is what Ferber says. His friend or whatever she is.
Right.
And we don't know what that means. There isn't any suggestion of powers or magic at all. But yeah, I think
he's lost that thing that made him produce, that made him be a musician, perform.
Yeah. Now he can just look in a mirror and upside down. And,
right.
Which that's a lot of that in Roeg's films as well. But I fully believe that, he possesses Chaz or whatever. Like, he is Chaz.
Right.
At the end of the film.
Right.
I don't think that his face looks like Mick Jagger. I think, Turner's body is dead, but I think that he has become Chaz.
Okay.
And it's all set up because there's this suggestion, it's very heavy, that this whole world of geezers and, guys wailing on each other and, there are these odd men. There's a lot of like latency in there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like, it's all, in fact, there's a suggestion, I think, that part of the falling out or the history between Chaz and Joey is like a sexual one.
You think so?
I got that a strong feeling of that. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, it's all like Harry Flowers.
I know.
Sometimes gangsters have like, it's Sweetie Jim or something like that.
Right.
But it's definitely, it's meant to suggest that there are a lot of these repressed desires and toxic masculinity, that's compensation and stuff like that.
Yes.
And so you get a guy like Turner, who they repeat the scene when Chaz is being called on the carpet, in front of Harry, the exact same way, basically, in the Memo from Turner music video segment, which is probably the best. People don't remember a lot about performance. It's becoming back, and people are starting to remember it as being something really great. I think they might overpraise it. Sure. I like it for sure, but how much value does it have exactly? Because it's basically just 1/3 of a English crime film, and then a bunch of people just sitting in a tub for the rest for another hour. I mean, I like it,
right?
But it's not. Yeah, I don't know if it's like the best ever. But so he basically just sets up. I think that he's gonna go back and turn that place upside down and and just be running it, as Chaz or whoever he is now.
Right.
You're all work for me. That's the last line of the song,
Right. Well, and he gets all the guys like stripped down too.
Right.
So.
But that's what happens. That's not what it's about. What's the film about? I think in a lot of ways it's about, and Kamel uses this theme a lot, or did in his work, it's about sort of these transformations, like transformative experiences or transformative like sexual experiences, and fluidity, and kind of going from, because Chaz becomes a more open person, like you said, or at least he tries to explore it.
Yeah.
But they dress him up like a woman, and there's this like confusing between, and then the woman that he ends up sort of having a relationship with,
right?
I don't know if they fall in love. Is kind of tomboy-y, is kind of is boyish.
Lucy.
Yeah. And then there's also a weird kid walking around too?
There is a weird kid walking around who's a little girl,
yes.
but is also kind of like...
But has like a raspy voice.
Yeah.
And in between the little girl with the raspy voice, with the shock of brown hair, the French girl who's... what do you call gaming? What do you call like a boyish? There's literally a French word for it. I can't remember.
Okay, I don't know.
Who's a sort of tomboyish, twiggy type.
Yes.
And then Turner himself. It almost seemed like they were supposed to be like a continuum almost.
They almost were.
And Jagger, of course, as Turner in his first film role, is to makeup, lipstick, blush, the whole thing. Like he's got like these flip, silky hairdo.
Yes.
And so it just seems like this continuum of like. Of confusion, or at least ambiguousness.
I think that was done on purpose too. Like,
oh yeah, sure.
When Lucy first like starts kissing Chaz, like I thought it was Turner.
I didn't roll it back. I've seen the movie a couple times, and I almost wanted to roll it back this time, and I didn't bother. But it is either him doing it, or they're using the camera to make it seem like that
right.
He and Turner are hooking up, and then it turns out to be Lucy.
Right, exactly.
But that's on purpose.
I think so.
So anyway, just the whole, rum, the lash, and sodomy thing that they've got going on.
Right.
Back in London. I mean, it's just in Notting Hill, Notting Hill Gate, so it's still in town.
Right.
He didn't go very far to hide.
He was planning on going to the country. That didn't work.
Yeah.
Or he didn't go that far.
Is it Layer Cake? Again, Matthew Vaughn, I think another guy that was probably influenced, either directly or indirectly, by Roeg. He's got Crazy Larry or whatever, that Jason Fleming character in the flashbacks of Layer Cake, where he's like, screwing females is for puffs. Basically, like he was like, he's so masculine, he's only going to have sex with men.
Oh my gosh.
Or at least that's how he tries to frame it.
Right.
Because you can't, I'm sure there were like gay guys, in the English mob or whatever, but it's a masculine sort of thing, but he somehow makes it like, no, I'm so straight, I'm only going to have sex with straight men.
Right.
Okay, boss. All right.
Whatever you say.
Poop.
I swear it said poop.
Okay, yeah, speaking of poop. Yeah, I thought they sprayed poop on his wall.
I know.
Like, whoa, these guys, they're serious. So anyway, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
But it is weird, and you got to really get used to it.
Yeah.
We're introduced to Lucy, Ferber, and Turner, like an introductory three-way. Just like,
I know.
Let's meet these characters. What's going on? Oh, okay. Well, I guess I know what's going on here.
Right, exactly.
And that's how we're going to do that.
Yeah.
There's something that I wanted to do, because I know that we're not doing Yorgos this week, but this is also a very interesting movie with its own characteristics, and I thought, why not try to run it through the old Bingos Lanthimos
You
test?
Want to run it through the Bingos Lanthimos test?
Let's see if we have identified something about Lanthimos as a filmmaker, or just something about avant-garde cinema.
Okay.
Cinema. Said that like Stephen Toast.
Unsexy sex.
Yeah, I think
so.
Well, I mean, I don't want to kink shame, but I definitely think the beginning where he's having sex with a girl and it's intercut with all the guys that he's beating up and throwing things through windows, and it's clearly meant to be chaotic.
Okay.
And unappealing.
All right, I'll take that. Stilted dialogue.
Why did I write a straight in Bohemian? Oh, okay. Anyway, yeah, he's a straight. Who's trying to pass as a bohemian.
Oh, sure.
He's like, yeah, man, I'm a juggler.
Right, I know.
What was the box?
Stilted dialogue.
So I'm still not. Now we run into the problem of what does that actually mean?
Yeah, I know.
No, I don't think so. These people are very verbose, and they talk verbosely.
All right.
Animated dialogue.
Next one is head trauma.
A man is literally shot
in the head.
In the head. Yeah. We travel through the brain hole.
I know.
And inside is a picture of Borges. Borges, the poet and writer.
Right.
We'll talk about that. Yeah. So, yeah, there's head trauma.
Okay.
Yes.
Adults acting like children.
I don't know. There's a sort of like, free love, playful, nature child thing, but I wouldn't say that that's children. There's children acting like adults.
Yeah.
Something that we pointed out in our last film.
Right.
where Petunia or whatever her name is let me get you some cigarettes, get you some fags.
Right.
I need 4p.
Right.
All right.
Making up a game. I don't know if him.
Again, you could do the whole.
Is a game.
Yeah, I mean, you could do the whole. That's the game of life,
right,
man.
Right.
What was that? Stop me! No, no, no.
No.
What else?
Violent punishment. I would say yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Next one is body horror. I mean, him getting whipped is kind of body horror.
No, okay, but it's not just violence, though. I think going inside the bullet hole.
Yeah.
When he gets shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's body horror.
Okay. Inane discussion about material objects.
I don't know. There's a slice of life to a lot of this British working class sort of drama, but it isn't like he... You know, actually there is, because when they're aciding the car, in a cool sequence, but a sequence that I feel like Guy Ritchie would have just pumped right out in between them doing 3 other things.
Yeah.
They spend a lot of time.
Yeah,
it's like, we paid for it. We're going to take every
We're going to
foot
show
of film
the acid
of us burning this car.
Burning the paint off of this car.
And they're like talking about it and like, oh, it's pretty nice. Oh, it's, you know, there's dialogue there that they could just be going, take this, motherfucker, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Flat affect.
Again, you know, what do we mean by that? I mean, I know what that means, but are we talking about just the existence of it in the film or the application of it? But yeah, I mean, Chaz he gets pretty strung out a couple times.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you think so? Okay.
Also, the French girl's acting.
Oh.
You'll know, I don't know who she is. I'm not going to look her name up, but I know that like when you go on the internet, like IMDb or Wikipedia, and you see, cast list.
Yeah.
Here are a bunch of blue underlined names. Not this one. I think this was it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was like, probably just knew somebody.
All right.
Dating the director or something.
Next one is bribery.
It was just bribery?
Yeah.
That was a square. I've only done this 6 times. I mean, what would you consider bribery to be?
I don't really think there is any bribery.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like, get Chaz, but they're not like, get Chaz and we'll give you this gold watch.
And he's paying Turner rent.
Yeah.
But it's not like he's...
bribing him.
No, and plus they drug him and then like basically screw him, I guess. But it's not like they're like, if you take this drug, I'll screw you or anything like that.
No.
So, yeah. No, I don't think so.
Okay. Awkward dancing. I don't think so.
No, not really.
Misnaming things or people.
The whole Chaz Turner thing.
Yeah. Okay.
You approve of that.
Identity erasure.
The whole Chaz Turner thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe that's a box that we could refuse.
Self-mutilation.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. I mean, the guy, he's trust me, his hair is going to be real messed up after that, but,
exactly.
No, I don't think so. Thurber shoots herself up with what she says is B12, but...
Right.
You know.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Inappropriate family interaction.
Although she does it into her butt, though, and not into a vein.
That's true.
So it probably is at least something that needs to be absorbed. Huh. I don't think so. We never get a sense of anybody's family. Yeah. He just, you know, they calls the one guy uncle.
Right.
And they look kind of similar, so I just figured that they were brothers or cousins or...
something.
Yeah.
American culture intrusion. I don't think
Not
this
really.
was really present.
No, specifically. Well, Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Who isn't in the film, but, you know, is a presence that can be felt in the film.
Do you think I should?
No.
Stickers.
My favorite.
I know.
Oh, I'd have to look again.
I don't think there's any stickers in this.
There's poop.
Yeah, I know.
No stickers.
No. Predatory authority figures.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
It's ironic, too, because it's a film that you read a lot of the scholarship about it, and it's a film that was rejected at the time for its content. Mm-hmm. One executive's wife was so shocked she vomited, which I've never heard of that before. Like, oh my God. so freaked out. And it's clearly a counterculture film.
Yes.
But it doesn't. There aren't anybody's talking about the man or anything like that in it. Other than just Harry Flowers is going to kill you for screwing up or whatever.
Right.
And I also read that after making the film, Anita Pallenberg, model / actress, the original model / just didn't. She felt really oppressed, like during the making of the film. Like she went on this big vacation after they made the film with Keith Richards, who she was dating,
right? Because
she just felt like at that point, and Altamont had already happened in '69, right? So it's like at that point, that's the wave was already breaking that Hunter Thompson writes about, and it just felt like the whole hippie thing was kind of over, and Vietnam and all that stuff, and so it would be a great. Maybe they were too deep into it to make a Fear and Loathing-esque film that talks about, the bad guys winning, basically.
Right.
But it's on that film, not in this film.
No. And I did read, too, that Keith Richards was so jealous.
That's such a good story. Let's save that until the game's over.
All right, fine. Sadism. Yes.
Yeah.
The whole film.
Rank sadism.
Sexual fluidity, I would say, yes.
Let's move that box to the top.
Yeah. Performing. Yeah, he sings. The whole thing's called performance.
It's a gimme.
Yeah. Pets?
How could you
no.
ask that? The kid's a pet. No, there's no pets.
There's no pets. Bathing suits? No bathing suits.
No, there are definitely no bathing suits in this film.
Actors' heads cut out a shot.
Not really.
No. Okay, so let me count these up. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12.
Okay. 12 out of 24.
Yeah, 12 out of 24.
I think we were talking about this off the air before about like what threshold does a film have to cross before it passes into Yorgosity or whatever.
Right.
Write that down.
Yorgosity.
Yorgosity Jr. Iron Eagle. And we never came up with a number, but
no.
I don't think it has to be more than 12.
No, yeah.
So it's weird for a movie that is specifically about a small cast of characters sort of relating to each other in weird ways with a lot of the big ones on there, fluidity, sex is involved, sadism is involved.
Yeah.
Yet somehow it only scores a 12 out of 24.
Yeah, exactly.
That means that quality of Yorgosity, that's an important quality.
The Killing of the Sacred Deer had 17.
Which we both agreed was the most sort of conventional, I think, of his films.
Yes.
At least so far. We have a costume drama coming up soon.
That's true.
All right, so the story. So this film, you've got Mick Jagger working on it. How's the music?
Right.
Not great. There actually isn't a ton of music in it.
No.
There is one specific sequence, the Memo from Turner thing, which I don't think was even... It must have been a single or something, but...
I don't know.
I remember... I think that might be how I discovered the film.
Okay.
I think I heard Memo from Turner and thought, is this a Stones? This is a Stones song I haven't heard before. And looked it up and, no, it's part of this movie. And then read the story of the movie and thought, I got to see this movie. And then watched the movie. So it was supposed to have a whole soundtrack from Jagger and Richards. But, like you had said, Keith Richards was dating Anita Pallenberg at the time.
Yes.
This is after she had left Brian Jones, who was still alive at this point. Mm-hmm. In fact, Turner was based on Brian Jones in a lot of ways.
Okay.
He was playing Brian Jones kind of as he already was, pretty much washed up and strung out, and that's kind of how he wanted to play him. In fact, Anita Pallenberg told Mick Jagger to play Turner like, imagine Brian, that they didn't know Brian was going to die, but imagine like Brian and Keith, 5 years after the Stones have stopped touring.
Right.
Which, of course, Anita didn't know they would never stop touring.
Right.
They're still touring today.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine playing them like 5 years after, and they have nothing to do, and they don't know what to do with all their money, and they're just alone in their house. And so, yeah. But so they're supposed to do this. He's playing, Turner, this rock star. She's his girlfriend, and they are in very many throughout pretty much the majority of the film in various states of undress.
Yes.
And unsimulated sex acts, essentially. I don't think anybody thinks that they were really doing it, but, if you have to ask.
Right.
And apparently Keith Richards heard about it and was so upset that he started, parking outside of the studio or the house where they were shooting. Yeah.
Yes.
Just imagine, that's a song. There's got to be a song in their catalog that's based off of that experience,
I know, right?
Yeah.
Which is so crazy.
So he's just out there.
Jealous.
Yeah. Shooting in between his toes? What did he do again?
I don't know.
whatever his particular method is. Smoking a million cigarettes. So you just see, an expensive car across the street.
Right.
That just looks like it's
fuming.
being driven by smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah. So... I love that story. It's a good story.
It is a good story.
And it has a lot of similarities with a similar story for the next film that we're going to talk about.
Yes.
So you want to move on?
Yes, let's move on.
Let's move on to 1973's Don't Look Now.
Yes.
Starring Donald Sutherland at, in my opinion, the most Donald Sutherland he's ever been.
Well,
This is the Don Sutherland-est this is the most Donald of the Sutherland.
Right.
And Julie Christie, who is just fantastic. And some old ladies.
Yeah.
And some old ladies.
And some old ladies.
Do you want to tell me what happens in Don't Look Now? You can do it right now.
Okay, well...
Is the sequel called... Okay, now you can look.
Right.
Or I told you not to look.
I know, right? So Julie Christie and Donald Sutherland play a married couple, the Baxters. The opening sequence is in their British home, and their daughter, Christine, who is wearing a red Mac, which I learned was raincoat, in
Very
British
strange.
speak. What?
Very strange.
Yes, exactly. She falls into a pond, and Don Sutherland goes out to save her, but she drowns. So she dies, and their son, we don't find out till later, is at a boarding school somewhere in England.
Right.
And they go to Venice, where John is restoring a church. And while they're at a restaurant, they run into these two old ladies, and one of them is
so weird.
One of them is blind, and
I see her.
She says she's psychic, and she says she sees Christine, and she's very happy, and she's laughing, and she wants them to be happy.
Yeah.
So
hilarity ensues.
Yeah. Then Julie Christie goes back to the table and collapses.
Yes.
And they take her to a hospital.
Where I don't know if I guess that's just the kid wing of the hospital or whatever.
Yes.
Where she's sitting in a room and then through a window, just like a reinforced window.
Yeah.
Like an institutional. There's just a bunch of kids, and I'm like,
playing.
Are they having kid playtime and they're sick little kids, or is this some kind of it's kid therapy? Sometimes we have mothers with dead children come in because they fainted, so we open up the curtain, and behind the curtain there are a bunch of kids playing with each other, and then she's like, "Oh, it's great."
I think it's
kid therapy.
It could be kid therapy, or they're sick. It's one of the two.
But they weren't like.
No, there were no coughs.
Take this ghost ball.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So they begin to be haunted kind of by they think that they see, or John thinks that he sees a little girl in a red raincoat throughout the city intermittently. So
which would make more sense than what happens.
I know.
The reality is so crazy.
I know. It is.
What is going on?
I don't know.
Yeah, you don't have to go on.
Okay.
You don't have to go on.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what happens.
That's basically what happens.
Yeah, that's what happens. We're not trying to avoid spoilers. We'll probably talk about what happens at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what happens. And I would argue, I love this film, and I always have. Mm-hmm. I would argue it's a little long near the end. It gets paunchy in the middle.
Yeah.
The part where he's wandering around, she goes off. Julie Christie leaves the movie because she's got to go deal with their son's been in an accident.
Yeah.
And so she's not in it, and so that's good for him. As a character, he's getting more isolated. He's alone in a strange city. Yeah. Something is going on because they're finding bodies, apparently in the in the water in the canals.
Yeah.
And so that's a good time for him to sort of start to lose it, and then he thinks on the gets the ladies arrested.
Yeah.
That's all fine and good, but that goes on for a while. Like,
yeah.
he's wandering around, the cops are following. He goes, meets the cops.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really add much to it. I mean, you get the thing with the weird sketches. I thought that was kind of interesting, but like, yeah, I'm the chief of not very good police.
Right.
That guy was Italian actor or a Venetian actor and spoke no English.
Okay.
So totally phonetic. He had no idea what he was saying.
All right.
But he got to be in a movie with Don Sullivan.
Yeah.
So I can't remember what I was going to say. So I loved it. Did you like it? There were times when you did not look happy when you were watching this movie.
Well, it's kind of a sad, depressing film in a lot of ways. So,
and we'll talk about that.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed it. I just, whenever you lose a kid, that's not a happy, feel good time.
No, and I was thinking about other movies. Is it Buried Child? Is that the play by Sam Shepard?
Yeah.
Wow, that was a pregnant, or not pregnant anymore because the kid's dead.
Wow.
And then wasn't sorry, what? And then Nicole Kidman was in a movie called Rabbit recently that sounded a lot like Buried Child to me.
That was a play, and they lost a child.
Yeah.
I've seen the play.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
So how is it not Buried Child? I mean, I guess the same premise doesn't make it the same play.
It's not. It takes place in modern times, so they have like videos of the kid, and they're like watching it and stuff like that, and it gets them really depressed.
I gotta tell you, this sounds great. Yeah. So okay, you said that it's depressing, and I don't know if I agree with that. In fact, I said I like this movie. Mm-hmm. Now listen to me tear this movie down.
Okay.
I think the tone of this movie, other than being often creepy-esque, is all over the place. And I don't know why. Except for, mood spelled backwards is a doom. We say that all the time.
Yeah.
We say that all the time on the show.
Yeah.
That's we have a t-shirt.
We should have a t-shirt.
We will after this.
Okay.
But I don't understand. There are times when, and I don't want it spoon-fed to me, but there's times when I think they're intending something. I'm going to assume that they're intending something, but I don't know if they were intending it, if it all fits together the way it should. Mm-hmm. We can just talk about the elephant in the room, and the thing that I think sadly, this movie is only remembered for is the
sex scene?
Sex scene between Christie and Sutherland, which is, they say it's explicit, but it's not, because
it could have been way more explicit.
Yes, and I think when it was shot, it was very explicit. It might have been very authentic, depending on the rumors, which we'll talk about. But the reason that it is now it's seen as genius, but the reason that it's cut together with them getting dressed afterwards is because Roeg had to eliminate any evidence or on-screen like motion, the motion of the ocean. And so if they're in like a clinch, he can't show them moving like at all. So he just shows, she's zipping up her boot. And then we come back to the sex scene and they're in a different position. And so you fill in the blanks.
Right.
The perhaps unintended effect, although you can spackle something and do it artistically, right? Mm-hmm. The effect that we get is this kind of touching sort of look at them, being in this very intimate, and of course it's the 70s, so it's like the joy of sex, like weird.
Right.
If you had a sex scene in a modern movie, it wouldn't look like this. They're like, they got their arms wrapped sideways around each other or something like that.
They look like they're doing like weird pretzel.
Yeah, and his lanky ass is hanging out. Yeah, it wouldn't be like that today. But anyway, they're very much in love. Yeah. But they intercut that with them sort of getting ready individually and not saying anything. And it's absolutely a Kuleshov effect situation, where we put on what we want to on it. Yeah. Because if you just showed Donald Sutherland putting a tie on and looking around the room, and then maybe having a little sip of whiskey before they go out,
right?
That's all he's doing, But if you intercut it with him plowing Julie Christie,
right?
You're thinking about them thinking about the experience that they had,
right?
And it's neat, it's contemplative, and it's nice. Here's what it doesn't do: show the division between them, which Nick Roeg talks about in every interview about the film, is that he's trying to show how, like in Buried Child or whatever, the death of a child can drive two people apart in a relationship. And it's only ever pointed out that I've seen as a very warm, if somewhat like explicit sort of sequence, you know, where we see how much these two like really love each other and are thinking about each other.
Right.
But they're not supposed to be.
Well, that's bizarre because that's what I got from it too.
Yeah.
I didn't get that they were
Which is why I think that the
divided.
tone is like, yeah, it's weird. And he's buried in his work. She is, we have mention of medications and therapy and stuff like that. So
she hides a pill at one point up her sweater.
Well, he's trying to get her to take the pills and she doesn't want to take them.
Yeah.
And so she gets onto this new age stuff, man. She gets her crystals. And so he's like, great. You know, he's not excited about that. So they're kind of divided there. You can tell that, and Christy does this very well, you know, there's a lot of times when she is smiling and she's not happy. Uh-huh. And we know it.
Right.
But she just, you know, puts on this beautiful smile. You can tell that she's just done that. But then we also see, you know, scenes of her looking totally abject. And there are specific clues or cues in the film. Their house has this weird design where it's like partially remodeled or something on one side, or paneled, or has siding or whatever.
It has like bricks on one side and like wood on the other.
It's divided.
Or something. Yeah.
It is literally a house
divided. It is literally divided.
And maybe this is totally insane, but just go with me from the house divided thing. When she comes back from the bathroom after the ladies are talking about her dead kid, I don't know why I'm laughing.
Yeah.
And there's the weird lady who I think is a bathroom attendant or something, but she's just sitting there just like,
yes.
Yeah, it's crazy. So anyway, when she comes back, she falls over and knocks the table over and everything falls on her on the table. Yeah. And they specifically show oil and the vinegar falling to the ground.
Like it's water mixing, or something.
But they don't, oil and vinegar don't mix.
Right.
They are separate.
Right.
Unless they're doing it. Then everything is A-okay.
Right.
It reminds me too of, or this should remind you of, don't look now, but of Antichrist, Lars von Trier's film.
Okay.
Right? Which is about, oh, you don't know.
I don't think I've seen it.
It's about a couple who loses a child. It's Willem Dafoe and Charlotte Gainsbourg.
Okay.
And it's specifically, speaking of like eroticism, it's specifically when they are making love. Their kid like falls out a window basically, like because they're not watching him.
Oh my gosh.
And you don't get the impression that they're, you know, irresponsible, but it's just like this tragedy. And so because it's Lars von Trier, the woman and the man, they retreat to this cabin in the woods and like basically punish themselves like sexually, like sexual torture.
Okay.
Because they've come to associate, it's kind of basic, but they've come to associate like the very real love and attraction they feel for each other with this thing that got their kid killed.
Losing their kid.
Yeah.
Oh, that's depressing.
Yeah, it's too bad I don't watch Lars von Trier movies because that's a hook.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what's on the end of the hook?
Yeah, exactly.
A severed arm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, that's my problem. You get these wonderful pictures, you know, and you get him chasing the figure through Venice, and you get the romance, the love scene between them, you know, and you get these odd scenes with like the milky-eyed lady,
yes,
laughing, you know, like
laughing
a witch.
maniacally.
But none of it connects because the ladies are totally beneficial. They're totally good guys.
I know.
You know, and
so it's like, why are they laughing maniacally?
Yeah, and you get this scene of like high tension, pun intended, where he falls off this scaffolding.
Oh my god!
And it's swinging around, but it goes on for so long, and it's cut with probably all these real sounds of Donald Sutherland going, oh, ah, oh, ah. And it's probably the actor whom you informed me did the stunt himself.
Yes.
Because the stunt actor was like, oh, I'm not doing that without the right insurance, and the insurance isn't set up. And Donald Sutherland's like, well, let me do it, fine.
And then,
I'll land on my mustache
and then,
if something goes wrong.
They had like some wire connected
so
to him.
So he's dangling, you know, 3 stories up in the air.
Yes.
And probably forgetting to act because he's terrified.
Yes.
But my thing is, just go back in and dub it over.
Right.
With some like legitimate screams because he's just like, oh. Is that from the sex scene?
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, it's a mess.
It is a mess. And he could have, like, it's a good thing he didn't let go of that rope because, like, a guy who was, like, in charge of the stunts or something.
Oh, yeah, you were telling me about it. They had a Kirby wire, which is like hidden, wire like a harness or whatever.
And they said with him twirling around like the way that he was, it would have really...
It's not really supposed to save somebody from a situation like that.
No, so if he had
let go of
that rope, he would have probably
screwed.
died.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. That is so crazy.
Yeah.
I can't believe he did that stunt himself.
Well, it's the 70s.
I know. And it's method. And then, like, there's some other stunts in the film, like when he's, like, walking through boats or whatever, that probably...
Walking through boats!
which probably aren't as dangerous.
Yeah, there's a scene when he is walking over the boats to follow the girl or whatever, and you see it's a man who is clearly not Donald Sutherland.
It does not have a magnificent mustache.
I know. And then later on, Julie Christie comes across. It's Julie Christie. Did they not get her a stunt double?
I know.
So anyway, that's my problem with it. Also, the bug nuts ending too, which we can talk about.
Oh my god!
Apparently, too, Donald Sutherland was like really positive about like psychic stuff. He's like, I don't want this to be some kind of movie where psychics are the bad guys and everything. So
I read that too.
Can't we have it be like something different where it helps out? And I'd argue they did try to help you. You just didn't listen to them.
That's true.
And it's also a self-fulfilling kind of thing because whether or not he's got the shinning himself, this is what bugs me about the emotions, in my opinion, not really landing, is that the rest of the film is clearly meticulously put together. Because the images that we establish at the beginning of the mirror breaking and the girl under the water and the upside-down reflection of her, those all get repeated again through... in Venice, which is the setting of the short story too, the Daphne du Maurier, who also wrote The Birds as well.
Oh, okay.
That's all set up, and so of course Mr. Mirror Water Guy comes in and goes, I can do that.
Right.
And we keep seeing a repetition of those themes that lead to this climax that the setting makes sense. It's almost like a trap. It's almost like the game Mousetrap. Like he could never not end up here.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
But it's all self-fulfilling because if they hadn't said, "Oh, I see your daughter," none of this would have happened. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess you could have got ganked by the troll,
Little Red
troll
Riding
doll.
Hood.
That's what they call her, Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah.
I guess you could have got ganked at any time, but he basically tries to chase down this thing because of what they said, and it's a real Greek tragedy vibe.
It is.
I also thought the crazy bug nuts ending too felt like, because they were saying, I read somewhere that it was like, and this is true, there's a long tradition of like the British, Gothic films, like horror films.
Yes.
And it's kind of like that, but it felt a little giallo to me as well, which is... like Italian horror or supernatural horror.
Okay, sure.
Just the idea of having, and here's the spoiler, a knife-wielding dwarf be the ultimate bad guy?
Yeah.
Now, that's a very Giallo kind of thing. Do you think that that really happened, or it's a metaphor? Do you know what I mean? Like, I guess his throat has to get cut somehow, but do you think that there was really, for some reason, at no point mentioned previously, we don't hear them listening to the radio and somebody says that, breakout at the local insane asylum for short people.
Right.
And now Randy Newman.
I know.
But do you think that was really... Because I'll tell you, that's like coming in from another movie. That's like, what stage is this? Is this stage 13?
It does feel like it's from a different
And also,
song.
It's a little unsatisfying. It's supposed to be about this guy who basically is mad that his wife is getting over their kid's death.
Yeah.
He wants to stay mad and sad about it.
Yeah.
And she's ready to let it go.
Right.
And it takes the form of the spiritual awakening that she kind of has. And it's all encompassing because she goes to the church and he's literally restoring these churches for a priest who's like, I don't really give a rat's ass about these churches. Right. And he is doggedly doing this and he chases it down to his death. But why is it death by dwarf knife to the neck?
I don't know. Suspension of disbelief, I guess. I mean, it's just so out there. I guess they just really wanted it to be like him chasing his daughter, but then it's not his daughter. It's a troll woman who has a knife. Be careful what
yeah, exactly. But it's not like they, initially announced that like troll dolls are the enemy of blind ladies everywhere. We feel like there's something bigger being played out here that maybe they just stumble into, but it's all he wants to do is just beyond the whole getting over his daughter's death, or maybe he's seeing a ghost or whatever, because this is often described as a ghost movie, but really it's an ESP murderous troll doll movie.
Yes.
There are no ghosts in it.
No.
All he wants to do is just help out.
I know.
He gets stabbed in the neck.
I know. It's tragic.
It's nuts.
Yeah. You know, and like the blood is like paint. And...
Oh, that's a 70s thing.
Yeah,
for sure. And also a Giallo thing.
Yeah.
I was thinking, okay, so why remake Suspiria? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And then this is how, when we got done watching this, I was like, okay, I want to watch. Maybe it's just hearing Italian for 2 hours, but I want to watch the new Suspiria.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a chance.
Okay. All right.
Why not?
Okay. We'll give it a shot.
Whoa, not so much.
I'm not really big into horror films, so.
Yeah. Do you think Zack Snyder was also influenced by Nicolas Roeg? He saw that sex scene and thought,
oh boy,
I could do it, but this time with Leonard Cohen.
Yeah, maybe.
And that just sort of, and I guess I kind of mean this literally, but I mean it figuratively, like that level of pornographic detail. You think that he missed the point, that it was the juxtaposition of the intimacy with the aftermath that makes it good, and he just thought people slow-mo boning to Leonard Cohen was where it's at.
Right, exactly. It's just weird.
Better question is, do the Baxters get a discount for a couple's perm? Just get their hair both done at the same time.
Yes, I think they do. One other thing we haven't mentioned yet.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
This was really fast. Also, all anybody ever talks about this movie is that sex scene, but nobody ever talks about the scene where an old lady channels herself into an orgasm.
Oh, God,
and the hero of our movie gets chased away as a peeping Tom.
I know.
English. Like, what is going on?
I know. It's so weird.
All right, sorry.
No, it's fine. Only one other thing I want to mention is that he's looking at slides at the beginning of the film.
Yes.
And there's this one slide of a church, maybe that he helped restore. I don't know.
I'm assuming.
And his daughter appears to be in the pews.
I think it's her.
Because she's wearing a red mac.
Right.
And then he goes to save her, but he spills something on it, and the red from her mac, just goes all over the slide.
Yeah, it's a very spooky image.
Yeah.
For a movie with no ghosts in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good. That was, deliberate, and a lot of the deliberate things I think really work well. There's some things that are kind of vague, and I guess they work all right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure what they're supposed to accomplish. I think that the idea of some kind of serial killer in Venice, I think it's more prominent in the book, because I feel like it just kind of gets like, oh yeah, and there's a serial killer.
Right.
Like, after the movie's already running.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's bodies, by the way.
We pulled somebody out of the canal.
Right. Like, and they pull this body out, and it looks a lot like Julie Christie.
Yeah.
She's got the nipples top. So, she kept saying it was cold in the restaurant. Somebody should have believed her. But she's got that same sort of knit sweater type thing on.
Sure.
And I'm not positive. I think they're different colors, but she's got the same sort of cotton underwear, and it just looks a lot like her. So I don't know what they're trying to say with that. But that should have been the first thing we see. We see them taking a boat home, and the police are there, and they're like dusting a railing. And so we know, and then we see the chief of police that we'll see later.
Yeah.
So we know that something has happened, but we needed a starker image to remind us right away. Okay, we got it.
This is what's
happening.
happening.
There's a serial killer loose.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's got to do with anything. To be honest, I've seen the movie now, and it doesn't have much to do with anything.
Right.
But it will bring our movie to a close.
Right.
Yeah. And he's having these premonitions, essentially, of, it's not quite Sixth Sense, but he's already dead. You know what I mean? Like, he is seeing the after effects of what will be Venice after his death.
Like when he sees Julie Christie with the two women on a boat.
Yes.
He thinks that it's now. He doesn't realize that that'll be after his death at his funeral.
Yeah. That's the end part. That's still kind of little saggy.
Yeah.
Could have done it in 2, but or just under 2 hours. I guess it is like 150 or something. It also kind of reminded me of Flatliners a little bit. I think Flatliners was inspired by it.
I think I've seen that before.
Flatliners is, come on, really?
Yeah.
Not even the new one.
No.
It's your favorite, Julia Roberts. She and Kiefer Sutherland are medical researchers.
And his son, Kiefer.
Kiefer Sutherland, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if Donald Sutherland's in the movie, but yeah.
Yeah.
Good connection. And they are basically... Come on, you saw the trailer for the... Why do I have to explain the premise to you? I don't know why they're doing it. I guess they get superpowers in the new one, but I don't really remember why they did it in the first one. But they're basically like they're stopping their hearts and staying dead for a while, and then they're bringing themselves back to life.
Oh,
and
yeah.
while they're dead, they are experiencing things, but they bring some things back.
Right. I think I saw the ad for the new one.
It's not a. I don't know. I think people have really crapped on it. It's not terrible, but it's not.
It's not great.
Real great.
Yeah.
It's better than the Lazarus Effect at any rate.
Okay.
And one of the characters, Kiefer Sutherland, I think's character, he is tormented in his dreams by this kid that he bullied, or may have like indirectly caused the death of, I think, when he was a kid.
Oh boy.
Named Jimmy Shamoli or something like that, and he wears like this sweatshirt, and it sort of reminded me of like this sort of haunting figure who kind of shows up, and ultimately becomes a lethal figure for him.
Right.
So if that had made somehow like that was, if the daughter had some reason to punish him, except I guess neglect,
right,
and also leaving a mirror in the yard. What's going on in this yard?
I don't know what's
Clean
going
it
on
up.
with this yard.
Yeah, it's a thrift shop sale.
Yeah.
It's a sale. You go to a place where they sell thrift shops.
Okay.
So anyway, I just felt like that was probably influenced the whole she's standing in the corner thing. You know, Blair Witch probably got that from this.
Yeah.
So this definitely reached out and touched a lot of people. So it's time to make a sequel.
Yeah.
Okay, it's all right to look now.
It's all right to look now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But who knew it would be a child serial killer?
Yeah, I know.
And like the faithless Monsignor, like interesting, but like why?
Right.
What's he do for the movie, really?
I don't know.
Didn't really have to be in there?
No.
You're done talking about it?
I don't really have much else to say about it.
Well, squeeze one out.
I don't know why it's in quotation marks, other than maybe because it was based on a book or something like that.
Oh, you're doing that?
I don't know.
Yeah. The movie title at the beginning is in quotes.
Yeah.
Which might mark the last time that they did that. You'll see that in old movie posters a lot. I can't think of like opening credits, but nobody knows how to use quotation marks.
No.
It doesn't make any sense.
No.
Nobody in the film ever says, "Don't look now."
Right.
Says those words.
Right.
So it's like, what, just leave the theater?
Right.
I bought my ticket. I want to watch this movie. Anyway, recommend performance.
Yeah, I would recommend it.
Okay, good. Recommend Don't Look Now.
Yeah, I would recommend Don't Look Now.
I would definitely recommend the both of them as well.
Do we want to do Bingos Lanthimos for Don't Look Now?
Do we want to? Do you think it would fit?
I don't think it would.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to do it.
Okay.
I don't think that we would get a very high score.
We would get less than 12, I think.
Yeah, less than performance.
Yes.
One more thing about performance. This is supposed to be about Nicolas Roeg and not Donald Cammell. But Donald Cammell, interesting, weird guy.
Okay.
Interesting guy. Got to start as a painter, and he, of course, got into making films. And he was he committed suicide.
Oh, wow.
He had always wanted to make strange movies that push the boundaries. You know, you think of like, how did performance come to be, and like what was it like on set, and like what could you get away with, and like how does this, you know, how did the finished product compare to what you wanted? And I think it was exactly what he wanted. I think he got exactly what he wanted. Okay. Like, as weird and trippy and hard to follow as it is, that's the kind of thing that he likes to do. He would go on to make a movie called Demon Seed. Okay. Starring Julie Christie as well. Okay. And it's about... so... this is a great connection because Garth Marenghi, the character Garth Marenghi, is said to be based on a couple different writers. A lot of people think that he's Stephen King, but I know for a fact that he's Dean Koontz. Okay. And Dean Koontz wrote this book, Demon Seed, that was made into this movie, and it's about like this self-aware computer that's also demonic, and it like rapes Julie Christie and like puts a demon computer baby in her.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
that's terrible.
Donald Cammell, everybody. But as I was watching, Don't Look Now, I just couldn't help but think of Garth Marenghi, and because just some of the blatantness of the images, like when he's imagining, because he sees things that don't happen necessarily, and it's not. It could be psychic, but it could also it's his imagination.
Sure.
Like when he's thinking about his death, he imagines falling from the rope, but we know that he didn't fall.
Right.
Or he's like, I wonder if those ladies are evil, and we cut to those two ladies cackling like Dr. Evil. It made me think of the Garth Marenghi talking about, I know some authors that have used subtext. They're all cowards. Yeah, why hold back?
Right.
But anyway, he went on to make a movie called Wild Side, which was sort of famous for being this kind of disaster. It was like in the mid-'90s, and it was your kind of bog standard post Tarantino crime type thing, quirky crime film.
Sure.
Your Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead-esque, type movie. And he had wanted to get all this kind of weird stuff in there, and it stars Christopher Walken and Anne Heche, who was red hot at that point, is not the joke that she was now.
Right.
Maybe she would be not a joke if this movie had gone off well. I don't know. And also Joan Chen, who kind of coming off of a Twin Peaks high, I guess, but never really did much either.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what it's about. It's stupid. It's weird. It's really bad. But he just got a lot of pushback from the studio. I don't know the entire story. I think there's a book or a documentary about it if you want to check it out. But he wanted to have like graphic, lesbian love scenes and like sex scenes and all this stuff. And it was important, man. For some reason, it was really important to get the thing across. And the studio's like, no, we're not doing that. And he had this huge blow up fight with them and went home and shot himself.
Oh my god!
Yeah, he pulled a Hostetler from. I
was thinking that
from Deadwood.
Yeah,
I'm so mad at you. I'm going to kill myself.
I know.
That'll take care of it.
Oh my gosh!
And it's hard to find this story now. If you Google him, it's actually one of the first things that comes up. But it used to be on his Wikipedia page. But I noticed it's been edited out of his Wikipedia page for some reason.
Really?
Perhaps because it isn't necessarily true, but it's what I've heard, and it's been the story for years.
Right.
But when he shot himself, he did it in such a way that he didn't fatally kill himself immediately.
Oh, no.
So he like blew part of his head off.
Oh no.
And lived for another hour afterwards.
Oh no.
And as he did, he was apparently in a state of like euphoria. He was really happy about it. And he had his wife get a mirror, bring a mirror in so he could watch himself die. And he purportedly asked her if she could see the picture of Borges.
Wow.
Like in the film.
Yeah, performance. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so just chew on that fat for a little bit.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's a weird guy.
It's really awful.
Yeah, it's terrible. Also,
his poor wife.
Yeah, I mean, he was 62. Yeah, and his poor wife. Was he the one? No, it was Roeg that was married to Teresa Russell for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but don't kill yourself over a Joan Chen movie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jeez.
There'll be other movies.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, great way to end it.
Yeah.
Here's a better way to end it.
I know.
Troll Doll stabs you to death.
I know.
So anyway, that is our impromptu tribute to Nicolas Roeg, who for just years, for the second half of the 20th century, and even up till now, until his death, was still making it happen, still changing things, and even when he is not hitting it out of the park, he's still delivering something that is technically impressive and just interesting.
Yeah.
It's just the kind of thing that you can go home. Like, I don't know if Don't Look Now is a classic masterpiece of human expression, but you could talk about it for hours.
Yeah, you can.
And
For sure.
that is definitely an important aspect to great cinema.
Mm-hmm.
So he will be missed.
Yes, he will.
Although how he influenced Christopher Nolan, I don't know. It's not. I don't think about Christopher Nolan when I think about
Inception, that sort of thing.
being British. How about Inception? Yeah. The most. Let me explain every single thing that's happening.
All right.
100 times over.
Okay.
What was the Leonardo DiCaprio? Oh yeah, there's one character, the guy who manages the hotel where they're staying.
Looks like
Marty Scorsese, which isn't a surprise. He is an Italian guy in the 70s.
Yeah.
But every time he came on, I was like, kept making jokes about how he was Scorsese, and you did not enjoy them.
Sorry.
You did not like them.
I should have enjoyed them more.
That's no, you do you.
Okay.
Don't laugh now. That's your movie.
All right.
Anyway, we hope that we have made you laugh, and if you want to hear more, and by hear I mean read, because I can't talk, and I'm going to send you to some social medias, which are on Facebook and Twitter, and you can read what we say there at Just Enough Trope on Facebook and Twitter. Join the conversation. We want to hear from you, so sign up and get right down on that. And also, while you're at it on that old internet, why don't you look us up on Apple Podcasts or on Google Podcasts or on your platform of choice. If you haven't already, I don't know how you got this show. I don't know what you're doing.
Right.
If you have not done that already, perhaps an old blind lady is just describing it to you. Perhaps you were so shocked that she was doing that you vomited.
Oh, my gosh. Stop.
Boo.
Oh, my God.
Maybe that's what happened. Who can say? Who knows? But while we're trying to piece that together, go ahead and find us on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and subscribe to the show. It is the best way to get the show. It comes right to you as soon as it is ready, brandishing its knife.
Yeah.
I think they put a wig on like a side of ham or something like that. Didn't they? Because when she chops into him, it's very real looking in that it's not like a big, it just looks kind of wet, and there's a clear like impression left.
Yes.
And I think that they took like a real piece of meat, but I guess I didn't really look it up though. Look it up. I'm sure that story's out there. That's true. Anyway, so tell us. Actually, what I want you to do is I want you to give us a review of the show, the podcast, on those services. We'd appreciate it because we want to hear from the fans. We want to hear how you think we're doing, and give us a rating at the very least, because that's how these services know that we are doing a good job. If we get a high rating, we then move up in the ranks. That translates to us being exposed to more people.
Yes.
And that's good for everybody. Everybody can get what they want. So give us 5, murderous dwarfs, Plastic Mac. Brent just kind of smiling a little bit, but not and then shaking their head a little too. And also they've got progeria or something.
It's very confusing.
And they're a singer, I think you said.
Yes.
How are they? What, like a soprano?
I don't know.
What, hi-ho, hi-ho?
Stop.
Not good. So in order to stop making fun of little people, which is not cool, give us 5 stars. We'd appreciate that. We'll be back next week to talk about something else. We're really going to take a running, flying leap at this, talking about this the favorite thing.
Yes.
So all goes well. We will be talking about the favorite next week, and I honestly can't wait.
Yep. Looking forward
Before we go, do you think it will be an Emma Stone movie or a Yorgos Lanthimos movie?
I hope it's a Yorgos Lanthimos movie.
I feel like it's going to be an Emma Stone movie.
I hope
this
it's
might be
not.
the beginning of the end for old Yorgi.
No, I hope it's not.
Unless it bombs, it's supposed to be up for 1 million awards. Like it's tracking, fast and high at the BAFTAs or whatever. It loses everything. He goes back to Grease and Disgrace and just makes a ton of great movies.
Wow.
I wish no failure on him, but that needs to happen.
Okay.
So we'll let you know if that's what happens the next time we talk. And until then, we're signing off. I'm your host, Caliban.
I'm your co-host, Mika.
Keep the geek fires burning.